All right, everybody, it's time to vote, vote, vote. Get out there and nominate your favorite podcasts. The People's Choice Podcast Awards voting is up on the 31st of July, so go to podcastawards.com to nominate the following shows. Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast in the categories of education and also storyteller drama. The Centralist in the category of politics and news. That's with show host Joe Montaldo. Science and Beyond in the category of science and medicine, also with show host Joe Montaldo. The Outer Realm in the category of society culture, with show hosts Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. And the Pittsburgh Paranormal Chasing Prophecy in the category of religion and spirituality. There's another category that opened up for us recently, the People's Choice, so please select for this category as well. Go to podcastawards.com to vote for these 5 shows and any others you enjoy listening to. That's podcastawards.com. And remember, voting ends July 31st, so go ahead and get your votes in.
Welcome to the Centralist, everybody. And Emily is very polite. I'm going to tell you how to get your ass out and vote. Well, we got 8 days left, 7 days, 8 days left. Get out and vote, people. I know y'all's names. I know where you live. Don't make me send an alligator in the mail to you. I mean it now. Vote, 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 vote. And by the way, since I have 2 hosts here with me, so if this show wins, y'all get mentioned, by the way, when I'm out in LA. So keep your fingers crossed on that. And because we have co-hosts on this show. And then, of course, Science and Beyond, I had to write to our dear friend who's not on the network anymore, John DeSalvo, and let him show us for an award. But still, we've done multi-guest on that one too, so that's going to be interesting. But anyway, everybody, welcome to Centralist. We're going to keep the panel kind of small tonight. I was going to do a big invite some people we ain't talked to in a while. But it gets a little hectic. We got a lot of news to go through. We got COVID updates. We got to talk about Joe Biden being his cracker self again. And apparently he don't even know what economics means, and we'll get into that later. I mean, there's other stuff going on. Laurie and I were talking about stuff before we got started. There's just a lot of news across tonight, and it seems like the last couple of weeks, there's just a lot of news to get through. So, and we're going to get to it. And of course, we're going to start out with our COVID because right now I have people every day. This is funny to me. So it's not funny, but it's kind of weird. But still, people ask me every day, "You think we're going to close back down? You think we're going to stay open? We're going to close down?" I said, "Well, I can tell you at least 10 states. It doesn't matter if half the state's dying; they're not closing." New York, pretty much, Como said, piss off, we're not closing either. He said 80% of our people are vaccinated. We don't have to close. That's bullshit. And we'll get Michael to talk about that in a little while. But still, I heard Littlefoot said she would have to talk to the governor if we have to close Chicago again. So even the blue states now, even though people are dying and the numbers are increasing fairly quickly, not like they did in the first one, but they are going up fairly quickly. And there's another problem out there now, this weird ass fungus, which we'll talk about that as well. But anyway, Laura Lee, Michael, welcome to the show. A lot of news. So I hear I can come to Canada, but I can't leave when I get there.
If you come to Canada?
So Canada, the Americans can come in, but America won't let you come back if you go to Canada.
It's like the Roach Motel.
It's like they're like, so, everybody welcome to Canada, but you're stuck in Canada once you go there, American or not, they're not letting you back in the country.
Canadians are starting to segregate. I just got sent a news article with a photo from Vancouver, British Columbia. Big sign in Chinese, French, and English. Vaccinated here. Unvaccinated over here. 2 separate lines. They're going to really draw a line in the sand.
So, that doesn't matter because all you got to say is, I've been vaccinated. I got to prove it. And even if you want a card, come on, people. I can go on any of my programs on here, make a little COVID card. Look, I've been vaccinated. Sorry.
They're writing it on pieces of paper in some places, so that's got to tell you.
But what's going to happen is the enzyme in the vaccine, luciferase, actually has a really light. We're seeing some videos actually on TikTok and other places where people are using black lights. That's what that part of that enzyme's in there for, is eventually you won't need a card. They're going to have an app to scan it to see if you actually are or not.
Fancy schmancy.
Well, that's not going to help them with the J&J vaccine. That's traditional. So
you still got luciferase in it, Joe. And luciferase, they say they call it luciferase because Lucifer is supposed to mean light. And actually that is part of his name, right? Light. So that's why they say it's named that. It doesn't matter what vaccine that enzyme is in there.
Well, that's the first I've heard about it. I read the ingredients.
I'll send you the info.
But no, I mean, I've seen it. What they watch.
What's the source?
What's the source?
Of the information.
I will. I can't call off the top of my head, but I will send both of you them if you like.
Yeah, because they well, hold on. I know y'all can barely hear me because I'm completely on the other side of the studio at the moment.
I have to use my laptop. My phones are dead. So.
Oh, here we go. Now y'all can hear me again since I was way on the other side of the studio. Actually, putting a couple more servers on that I forgot about. But anyway, again, welcome to you people that are coming in late because I just turned on the servers. It's weird because when I was reading, one of the reasons I got to Johnson & Johnson is because when they put out the ingredients in all three of them, and I noticed that the J&J had nothing that the other two had, nothing at all. It was no commonalities in it whatsoever. And it was a traditional vaccine. It was simply a flu virus and the COVID itself. So I felt more comfortable with that one because really and truly, when you're talking about Moderna and Pfizer, and I'm not hating on Moderna and Pfizer because I don't know enough about them or enough science about their stuff, but it does seem that it's a very new technology, and we don't know what, in the long run what it's going to be because somebody from YouTube wrote to me that you got to be careful when you talk about it. I said, well, we're talking long term. I said, can you tell me if we're right or wrong if we say there's going to be more deaths or less deaths long term over these vaccines? Because I noticed, so I seen one of the whistleblowers that came out from Moderna the other day, and they're trying to sue her to shut up because she's running around saying there was not 5,000 from the deaths, but 45,000 from the deaths from the vaccine. So the Fed's still going to have to verify that, and they're still going to have to go in there. But there'll be some hearings on it. What exactly comes out of it? These companies have a lot of money. They got a lot of power. They got a lot of pull, not just in this country and other countries. So it's going to be hard to see what plays out. But from time to time, the government does side with the people, especially if one of these companies piss them off. And I did notice that the Fed said they're not doing nothing until all three of them have full. They're not even allowing any more lawsuits until all three of them have full whatever when they release them to go out in the public. So full certification. So I don't know which one's going to get it, which ones are not going to get it. It goes back and forth. 1 minute I hear this one's going away. 1 minute I hear that one's going away. 1 minute I hear this one's coming back. 1 minute I hear this one's killing people. 1 minute I hear this one. It's just, and the CDC hasn't grown a big enough set of balls to correct anybody. So it's whatever Fauci says, whatever the WHO says, whatever that lady says. I mean, and it goes back and forth so much now. And it's funny because we talked about this on 3 shows now. When Michael was talking about the Delta variant, what was 3-4 weeks ago? I think it was like 4 weeks ago.
5 weeks ago.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It was a while back. So Michael and I, we had the crew when we were talking about the Delta variant, and we're like, Delta variant was just virtually nothing in the United States at the time. And Michael's talking about how it's going to come in and the way it's going to wave in. So far, Mike's been right on the money with this Delta variant. Now, it's weird where I live. About 40% of each state has got inoculations, and a bunch that. And just recently, I was listening today. It was so weird. This guy from Mississippi who was not going to get vaccinated. He's 30 years old. He identifies as a black male, a little overweight, around 320 pounds. But he's like I think 6'3" or 6'4". And that's not that much overweight when you're that tall. He says, I wasn't going to get it. He said, and I got sick. And I went to the hospital first day because I felt achy and a lot of pain and stuff. And they gave me the stuff and they sent me home. He said 3 days later, I go back in and they're like, no, you take this. They knew he had COVID. They knew it was which variant it was. And they sent him home again. So here he comes back 2 days later. He's in the ER. These guys on the edge of death. So then they admit his ass. Now he survived, and we was talking about it. He said, I'm going to get vaccinated because of this. He said, but all I can tell you people is it's a miserable experience. And it is. I've had it myself. It's a miserable experience. So for me, you got to outweigh what's worse and what's good. So is long-term on the vaccinations going to kill us? Or is it a 50-50 chance the vaccination is going to kill you or the virus is going to kill you? Well, you're unvaccinated, you're over 60, the COVID's going to kill you. That's all there is to it. And I've said this before. If you're elder, you should get the shot. Everybody else should be allowed to make up their mind because it's their lives they're playing with. They're not playing with your life. They're playing with you. I'm vaccinated, so you're not playing with my life. You're playing with his life or your own life. So I really do still feel it should be up to the people. But now that I said that, what do y'all think? Is it going to be up to the people?
I think that things are going to snap people's necks. I think that how Delta rushed in, just like it did in India, it's going to affect a lot of people. Half the country is not vaccinated. Even if they are, it's arguable that it's going to help them. They're changing the phrase breakthrough infection because they see that the rates of protection has dropped dramatically, especially now that they're also saying that they think that we're at the 6-month marker for the virus. I mean, the vaccines to dissipate in the system. So looking at booster shots, the only ones really holding up against Delta that really have good numbers is the Johnson & Johnson and the Moderna. Then you get the Chinese vaccine. They said it's like waters. It didn't do anything. And then people are dying because they got that vaccine. It didn't do anything for them. But the Lambda variant, which is they found in the wastewater in Las Vegas, let's call Las Vegas a super spreader city. People flew in, flew out from all over, right? And then now you have this Lambda. Lambda, they think is it's going to have a hard time with the vaccines. The vaccines aren't going to solve the problem with Lambda. So the vaccines are supposed to cover the proteins on the cell, right? You have the spikes, the protein tops. So here comes the vaccine. Vaccine kills the proteins. Then the COVID Delta takes antibodies and covers itself with antibodies. So your white blood cells flow right on by and see antibodies, and they don't think there's anything wrong with it. So only some of those cells will get penetrated. Lambda is supposed to be smooth and slippery, so nothing can stick to it. So this virus is changing. It's getting smarter, even though it doesn't have a level of intelligence, but it does have a level of survivability. But this is what's going on. So governments will use this however they see fit. They love the power. They love shutting things down. They don't want to shut money down because money is their life's blood, but they want to control people. That's what I'm seeing, But yeah, get a vaccine. It gives you a better chance to living. Sure.
From Canada, what I'm seeing is Justin Trudeau has built concentration camps. I can send you the video. It's right from Parliament. He won't answer what he's doing, but we're seeing this, and they're forcing more and more people. They're creating division, and I have a feeling that if you don't get a vaccine, you can just go stay in one of his concentration camps until you agree, or until God knows what, unless you get the vaccine.
Have they mandated a vaccine yet in Canada? I haven't seen that.
They kind of have and they haven't, because they've been very clear about the fact, and it's been over the last year, that it's going to come to the point where you will not be allowed in stores, you will not be allowed to access medical care, you will not be allowed to go to work, you'll not be allowed to go to school, you'll not be allowed to go anywhere, you'll be staying in your home. So not to the point that they've come out, and he's being very careful what he's doing right now because he's in pre-election mode. We expect an election to be called in September. He's supposed to call it at the beginning of the spring. One thing I did find out, and I've asked for this, and I don't know if you guys have seen this, but I haven't. Apparently, the vaccines are mandatory in Italy. I spoke to somebody directly, and I said, can you send me something in writing? I said, because we're not seeing that information over here. But she said it is mandatory. Everybody must have the vaccine in Italy.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that. I know here in the U.S., since it's an EU drug, emergency use, we can't make it mandatory. But what's funny is that businesses are. So let's say you work for Cornell University. You can't work there or be a student unless you have a vaccination. So the government, no, they can't do it. Private businesses, yes, can do it. It doesn't sound right, does it?
Well, what
Congress has to vote. That's what.
No, Justin Trudeau's because, like I said, he's in election mode. So what he's done is he's leaving it up to the premiers or the government of the state or the premiers of each province. They get to decide. He won't make a decision. So he's going to make them the bad guys. So if they decide in that province, like say in my province in Ontario, that especially about the vaccine passports is what he's doing too, right? Whether or not we're going to have a vaccine passport.
Well, they will eventually.
Well, we've got old Sluggy Ford saying he's not going to do it, but then again.
No, but that's what elections are for. See, if Biden tries to force vaccines, the Dems will lose everything, the House, the Senate, and they'll probably lose a supermajority. So it's a dangerous game for them. So we're only less than a year out from the 22 elections, which looks like the GOP is going to sweep most of that, plus the 11 seats they're going to gain. So the Democrats are in a precarious situation. They know the right thing is to start shutting down the cities. This is bad, and start warning people ahead of time. that the Delta virus is coming. I was reading about the Lambda variant, and because it's 1% of the case in the United States right now, and it's a weird the way some people are naturally immune to it. It won't attack some people, and something about if you've had COVID and the Delta, you won't get it deflects it. But that still doesn't matter because there's still, like Michael just said, what is it, 170 million unvaccinated, 160 million? It's a lot. I think it's 160 million unvaccinated.
Half the country.
So that's about 160 million. So, I'm worried about that. And then if we start telling people you got to have a card to come in our country, look, I don't care where you're from. Somebody's going to fake them. You're going to have a database where you can be checked in a database, and a good hacker can hack a government database like it's nothing. So I'm feeling like this isn't going to work all that well anyway.
You don't even know, dude. Most states don't even have a database like New York does. Most states don't. And if you're in a red state, they don't even believe in that stuff. So,
oh, no, they have big time down here. Oh, man, they keep big time databases down here.
Look at Florida. Look at places like Florida.
No, Florida has a huge database.
Florida is over 6,000 positives a day strong on the average. They're really number one. Florida, California, Texas isn't far behind. Nevada. These places have a huge problem right now with the Delta variant, and it's increasing.
And what's sad about it is California is like 64% vaccinated, 70% vaccinated.
And keep in mind, so they say get vaccinated, right? Now, where I am locally, it's very difficult. I was looking for the vaccine, and Johnson & Johnson's nowhere around here. I'd have to drive an hour in either direction to get which I'm going to do on Sunday, to get the J&J. Sometimes people might have Moderna. You call and you find out, oh, we're out of stock. So when they're saying get vaccinated, there's a limited supply, certainly.
And there's not supposed to be. That's a sad thing.
Right. There's something janky going on. There's something weird happening with the whole thing. They also said that the vaccines are at the point where they're pretty much done expiration date wise. So they're getting rid of tons of them because they can't use them. So we're at a pivotal point. You have Delta out of control. You've got this drug resistant superbug, this fungus in Texas, Candida auris, which has a 30% mortality rate. That is scary, man. So 30 people out of 100 are going to die. They get this fungus, and it happened in Texas. It happened in Washington, D.C. They're both unrelated. So that means it happened naturally. It's naturally occurring. Now look at the fungus, the black fungus in India, which killed tens of thousands of people. And they just said it was understated by tenfold. So when they say 240,000 people died from this last round, they're saying really 2.4 million. That's the seriousness of this Delta. And breakthrough infections, you're going to see a lot of them. But my question is, if you've been vaccinated, how much further can they go to protect you against new variants, since these new variants and mutations of the old ones, and they really don't have too many roots in the originals? It's a big question. And then they're messing around with petri dishes, but also it comes down to you, your immune system, what you're doing. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of not knowing. And then you were talking earlier about closing stuff down. Now, this Delta variant's going after children. And it's not just going after kids like, oh, I'm going to get the flu. It's affecting their organs or encephalitis, swelling of the brain or the heart or the kidneys. Stuff like that's happening, not just to kids, but to other people too. So there's a lot to consider here. And there's no vaccine for kids. So then what do? You can't really close the schools down again. So, and then the kids are going to spread it to their families. So, I don't know, man. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered, and you don't have anybody in D.C. that's going to answer them.
Not right now.
Fauci, he's useless. These people are useless. I listened to the Mayo Clinic. I listened to Johns Hopkins. Mayo Clinic yesterday said that nearly everyone basically in the U.S. will get Delta no matter what. No matter what. It's aerosolized. It's up in the air. So take that for what you want. And they don't make statements for no reason.
Yeah, but so far I haven't found any vaccines that can survive ultraviolet. So it's and
vaccines.
Not vaccines, viruses. So far, there's none that they can find that can survive ultraviolet light. And right now, there's a shitload of that down here.
England's working on 7 pills, 7 different pills that if you get COVID, you take the pill, and it protects you. It protects your respiratory system, which is really what needs to happen. But also now this is going after kidneys and other things. Oh, if you're diabetic, forget about it. It's going after your primary organs that you use, and weakening people's immune system, and then you get these funguses moving right in. So you can see, we just talked about this a few shows ago,
Yeah.
about the fungus, about all that. Just talked about it.
Yeah, well, it's just because they had them 3 new deaths that came in, lasted 2 in one hospital, one was at a different hospital, and it's a nasty little fungus. But but it's like when the flesh-eating, what is it, came out, the flesh-eating virus that came out.
MRSA.
They were like, what the hell is this?
But you have to understand, this is unprecedented. This is the first time in U.S. history that this fungus went human to human transmissible. First time. So
that's weird. Well, then how's the what do they call it? When it's a form of strep, is what it is.
MRSA?
No, yeah, whatever it is, it's a form of strep.
Methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus.
There's no right now. There's no whatchamacallit that'll kill it. No antibiotics.
There's staph infections. There's other things. All kinds of infections that eat the
No,
skin.
this was something that came out in the last 10 years, and it was because of the antibiotics it developed. Too many people were just taking antibiotics for just no reasons.
Antibiotics, yeah, because people have grown immune to that.
Yeah, but it's a form of strep, though. The only difference is it eats the flesh. It eats the flesh anywhere it gets on your body. It's nasty, nasty stuff. There's a lot of this stuff coming out because, there's a lot of dirty, nasty people in the world. And there's a lot of dirty hospitals in the world. And now, I will give them credit for this. They switched over their cleaning methods. I noticed the hospitals down here are using ultraviolet now for cleaning.
The overuse of antibiotics, like you said, and also, what about the stuff you squirt on your hands? It kills 99% of this. Don't you think that also makes bugs stronger? I remember talking about it when they first came out, when they invented it.
And I think that's one of the reasons they've been looking for different methods for cleaning and killing, because that's what's happening.
Hot soap and water.
And soap and water is not good enough for a lot of these things, man. A lot of things take way more than that. I do like the new. They have these things that come in now. They roll them in the room, and it bathes the whole entire room in ultraviolet. It'll kill anything that's in there. So it's a good way of doing it. So you clean it regularly, and then you come in and do that. The odds are anything in there is not going to be there. But now they're going back to old time sterilization and the ultraviolet on all the instruments. So that
you're talking about small controlled situations. What about an airport hub? What about Detroit? You know what I mean? Or any place that has a coming and going, or a large casino. Any place where it's coming and going.
That's a good thing you said that. The casinos down here now shut down for 2 hours a night and roll the ultraviolet lights through their casinos, their bathrooms, their gaming floors.
Yeah, but what about during the day and people are in there getting sick? If
you can't, you can't stop that, but you can at least slow it down and help keep it under control. And so far, nobody said they've got the virus from the casinos, even when COVID was full-fledged. Nobody said they've picked it up from there or anything. So casinos actually are pretty good now. They'll go around wiping machines after you get up. Even now, they're still doing it.
Nearest people can hope for, if this thing does attack everybody, we'll get to herd immunity and then maybe develop some kind of system against other future variants.
I don't know. COVID, they need to get COVID under control. And they keep saying, well, because of the Delta, you ain't got to worry about the Lambda. Well, we'll have to wait and see if that's true or not.
Lambda's the next one on the entrance ramp.
That's what they're saying. They're saying that the Delta can prevent Lambda from.
They don't know yet. I don't know who you're quoting. What I see, I'm in it daily. They don't know yet. They just know that it's on the way, and they don't know anything about Lambda yet. Only Peru.
Well, no, they do. Yeah, they know all the information that was collected in Peru, which is a lot.
Yeah, but it's a lot, but it's not really good information. It's very jagged and unpredictable. It's not really so accurate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then there's something about it can slip off the cell and not catch it sometimes. So it's weird.
Right, like I said, it's slippery. Yeah,
but that's the thing. It can slip either way. It can slip to infect you. It can slip not to infect you.
No. So antibodies won't stick to it, and so the vaccine won't stick to it.
But they said one of the characteristics of it is sometimes when it tries to grab an antibody, it slips and it gets eaten.
It wants to survive. It wants to live.
Everything wants to survive. Everything wants to survive. Yep. It's built into everything on a damn planet. Don't matter what it is. Every bug, every human, every cow, everything. It doesn't matter what it is. Every flower, every tree, everything wants to survive. It's built into it.
We don't hear much from Trudeau these days in the media, though, huh? I mean,
that's because he's in election mode. He's behaving himself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He was like right in your face, for quite a while. He was really at the
Yeah,
top of the
he's very
headlines.
quietly. He's going to all the provinces. He's across the country, and he's basically trying to behave himself right now, right? I guess he figures that's going to get him reelected. My G still has the Dominion machines and everything else.
Who runs against him? Who's running against him?
There's a woman with, I forget what her name is, with the PC party. Like I said, they're not in official election mode. They were supposed to call this in early spring. And then somebody just sent me, I haven't had a chance to look at it. I don't know. It's on my phone. I'll disappear off the camera for a minute. This is somebody apparently that's new. I'm guessing they're going to make them look like they're part of the Green Party or the marijuana party or something to make them look bad. So let me grab the name here. Where is
The
it?
marijuana party looks bad. That's news.
No. The media makes a joke out of them. Is what I'm trying to say.
Oh yeah.
The media make a joke out of them, like this isn't a real thing. Okay, hang on. I got to scroll back. David Freiheit, candidate profile, and they said, oh, and his last name means freedom. I don't know. Haven't had a chance to look at it. It's coming from the people of Canada.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know. We'll see.
Can Joe Montaldo run for? Was it prime?
No, I'm not. I'm unfortunately I'm not a citizen.
I thought you could only run for prime minister if you were a Canadian citizen. And guess what I found out? Anybody can run, and you can also run for governor general, which is like vice. We don't vote the governor general in, but the governor general appointed can come from any country. So can our Canadian.
I'm gonna come up there and start putting his little pink ass up on everywhere, saying, "Look how cute he is." Don't y'all love me in his pink shirt?
I would change the flag, get that leaf off, put a marijuana leaf on that thing, and woohoo! Make that the chief import export, man. I'll tell you, Canada would be a different place. I'll put that Trudeau in jail.
I'm looking at the new stats for who's
the jail will be made with hemp.
Yeah, but what you need to understand is most of Canadians, 90 to 95%, think he's, from what I've seen, unless you're a small business owner, you do research on your own, they all think he's just amazing.
I've been reading the increase in crime though in Toronto and places like that, like
everywhere,
and unbelievable, like gun crime, stuff you never ever used to hear of in Canada, unless they just didn't talk about it. But I mean, I'm in New York. I'm 4 hours from Toronto, so I mean, really, you would think that we would hear things, I mean, and we do. Weird,
Not really.
But
we've always had it. It just
they got a lot of. Well, they took a lot of those immigrants in too, man. I mean, I see the demographics of the crime, and it's just like wow. And they're not going to do it. Plus, the prices are insane too, like rent and things like that. It's way through the roof.
So
no,
we wouldn't be able to afford a flat for me and Amelia Pisano, man.
It's always been there. It just depends what area of Toronto you live in, and even where I
have to come to Vegas.
Yeah, but even where we live, we have level of murder per capita. I think we're first or second per capita in the city I live in.
Oh my God!
Well, it's on a waterport. It's on Great Superior, or it's on Lake Superior. So we're 35 minutes away from the U.S. border. It's the ideal place. It's right in the center of Canada. So haven't had too many.
What could Joe and I smuggle up there, man, and make some bucks?
Whatever you want, I guess. Do you know
I'm ready to be a straw coyote for California. I want to run straws into California.
Oh my God! No more crack in my
Trojan horse, just to make a point.
What could they do? What do they do? They catch you with 10,000 straws. Talk about a light load.
Have you ever seen the reality show with our Canadian Border Patrol?
No.
Your border is nothing to cross compared to what these guys are like. And I kept saying to Del, why are they showing people how they operate? These guys are awful. Like, you do not want to deal with Border Patrol because it's like a wannabe cop that has a license.
Like a TSA agent, right? Those people.
No, they wait for word worse than TSA.
They kind of just walk in and get the job because they have a pulse, and then they're usually a lot of them are like the worst. Yeah, a lot of them are like the worst people you'll ever meet in your life. They have like a hard on for messing with people.
Okay,
you know
put it this way: if they decide they don't like the look of you, they can pull you over in your car, rip your whole car apart to nothing.
Oh yeah,
seats on the front, and then say, "You put it back together," and they can, and they have. I know people it's happened to.
One time I was driving through New Mexico and into Texas, and Border Patrol stopped. They were stopping everybody on the highway, even though I didn't cross into Mexico. So they saw my New York license plates and my long hair, my all that, right? And then the guy's like, asking me all these screwed up questions, and and then they had, if I have any fruit and whatever. They took everything out of my car and threw it on the ground.
Mhm.
And then before I left, they were like, "All right, now pick your shit up and get out of here." Just like that, I was like, "Oh, nice, man."
Michael, I know somebody that had, I think it was a limited edition Camaro at the time, and he came through, younger guy. I'm not kidding. They stripped it down to the frame and the wheels, like took the wheels even off. He didn't have any tools. And they said, okay, get out of here. He goes, how am I going to drive? You guys wrecked my vehicle. Like, put it back together. No, that's on you. We can do whatever we want. And they do.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I see in the United States, you can sue their asses for that. But
Not
you know what I do them now? I tell you, I do this anytime I get stopped now. And you see how things go much easier. First thing I said, well, I own a radio station right now. You're being videotaped on. You're going out in about 8 pages on Facebook.
that's what you have to do. Mm-hmm.
I said, I see, you can. I said, I most certainly can. I said, the law says clearly I can record you as long as one person's willing. In both the states I live in, I can record you. I said more than
That's
that.
like that in Canada. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I said more than that you're a policeman and you're pulling me over. So I definitely have the right to report you because you work for me. I don't work for you.
Yep.
And I said, so just know ahead, but before you say anything, because what happened was I was in Honey Island Swamp. Linda and I were back there, and a game warden stopped. One of the wardens stopped us, and he's like, "Oh, where's your sticker on your hood on your car?" So it's sitting on my thing right there. Oh, well, let me see it. And so I handed it to him. He said, "Well, it ain't filled out." I said, "Dude, look, I come in out of here all the time. What's the problem?" He said, "You got a gun?" I said, "I got 2 guns in the car." I said, "What's the problem?" And he got to go smart. I said, I said, let me tell you something before you do. I said, you see that you're being videotaped live. I said, you're actually live right now. I said, believe it or not, I got a decent signal out here and you're live. I said, so please be careful with the next words you choose. I said, because a lot of people are going to hear you. All of a sudden, he backed up from the truck, thought about it for a second. He came back. He said, well, look, y'all have a good trip out here. Stay out of trouble. If you're going to shoot your gun, go to the range. And that was the end of it. So I got stopped. A trooper pulled me over. He was being a prick. And I was doing 75 and a 70. I said, I thought there was a fight. He said, well, we don't have to always do that. I said, I understand that. So he went to say something. I said, I want to just tell you ahead of time, you're going out live. Oh, yeah. I said, dude, I most certainly can record you. I said, and they just heard everything you just said. Mm-hmm. I said, it's being recorded and it's live at the same time. I said, so please choose your words wisely. He said, well, you're doing 75 and a 70. I said, I thought I was doing 72 or 73. I said, my cruise control is actually set on 72. I said, so your radar gun must be off a little bit. I said, when's the last time it was calibrated? Oh, we don't have to do. Don't even tell me that. I said, when I was in the Navy, that's what I worked on was radars.
They calibrated every ship like they tell us.
I said, so I know the guns have to be calibrated. I said, so please. I said, they bounce around your dashboard, being thrown on the floors. I said, please don't bullshit me. Mm-hmm. And he said something else, and I said, well, if you can write me a ticket, go ahead. I said, because I'm telling you now, I'm going to take it to court. I'm going to fight the ticket. I said, I'm just telling you. I said, I don't know any judge that's going to make me pay a ticket that I'm doing 75 miles under. I said, I just don't even see that happening. I said, plus I'm going to want my cost for loss a day. And I said, I make $300 a day. I said, so I'm going to want you to pay me for my time. He just put his hands on his hip and walked back and shook his head. Like you see it on the video. He's like, he comes back. He said, you know what? I'm going out of here. He said, I just pulled you over really because I thought you looked suspicious. Maybe you're smoking marijuana or something. He said, I said, why? Because I had my windows down, my roof open, the music blasting. He said, yeah. I said, well, now you know better.
You don't look like public enemy number one, though, man.
I'm not a nice guy. And I drive a non-offensive Camry, color gray.
Yeah, but when your hair's down, same thing with Dell. Like Dell gets constantly, people think he has drugs.
Dell looks like public enemy number one.
No, but when his hair is down, it's as long as mine. And I'm not kidding. No matter where we go, people ask him, do you have some pot? Like, can we pass some pot? It doesn't matter what it is. They think, and he doesn't do drugs. And then cops too, been pulled over because he's got long hair and.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've been pulled over just because I had New York plates on the car. Mm-hmm. Driving through Texas with New York plates on your car is precarious.
Yeah, when I was a young teen, I used to get pulled over all the time.
Oh, yeah.
On Long Island, anywhere I went.
I will tell you, though, Dell is the coolest cucumber around cops because I remember we were going to Rockfest and we were barely there and he had to go for a pee. So he pulls over. There's no cops in sight. The minute he pulls over, they come. So what does he do? He just pretends he's rumbling through the back, looking for his Tums, and taking from the other guy's got his hand on his gun, and I got really bad heartburn. I'm looking. Must have spent 5 minutes of their time just rumbling through really gently, making sure they could see what he had his hands on and in, and they let us go. But he doesn't care.
You ever see Chris Rock's video on YouTube, how not to get your ass beaten by a cop?
No, I bet it's funny.
Oh, God, it's funny, man.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you got to be careful. So one of my friends, one of my black friends says, you don't understand. I said, dude, when I was young, I was always getting pulled over. I said, and I was getting pulled over by redneck cops that just look at you. Where you from, boy? New Orleans. What? Get out your car. I'm like, why? He said, get out your car. It's because I was from the city. They didn't like you in the country. What the hell are you doing out here? I said, we moved out here. And I said, my dad is on the city council. Oh, is he now? Oh, okay, well, get back in your car and get out of here.
Well, they can do whatever they want. And a lot of them accidentally turn their body cams off with their hands. And so unless you're filming them, I would tell anybody being pulled over to film them. I would, because it's just your protection, your word against theirs. Not everybody's bad, but... Mm-hmm.
It's good to have a record of what happens. I mean,
yep.
I think we've seen that so many times, and we've also seen how it's benefited people. Yep. So many times. I mean, what's wrong with keeping a camera?
That's like that young guy that got killed by the cop up there because he had a gun between the seats, and the cop thought he was reaching for the gun. If he'd have been having his camera running, we'd have known for sure if he was reaching for the gun. Mm-hmm. And just the other day, I was talking to the cop. So I get out. Sometimes I can open carry down here. So sometimes I have my gun on my side. I get out the car the other day to go in. I was getting Linda cigarettes and something else. I was filling my car and getting her cigarettes and something to snack on. So I get out, and the Bay St. Louis cop first he sees Martha in the slot on the side of my car where I keep her. Mm-hmm. So then I picked it up and clipped it to my side, and I didn't put my shirt over it. But even I could carry concealed if I wanted to, but I left it where you could see it. I walked into the store. Some bitch watched me the whole time. And I was just waiting for him to run in and tell me. So I walked to the store, got my stuff. The girl's like, oh, and I'm getting, every time I carry this gun, it's like, oh, it's so nice to see people open carry, because it's a cannon when you see it. I mean, it's not playtime.
I wish we had that in Canada.
Yeah, so I walked back out. The cop's still looking at me. I waited to say, hey, how you doing, man? He said, what's that you're carrying? I said, it's a Canon 9mm. He said, oh. He said, that's one of them competition pistols. He said, yeah. He said, can I see it? I'm like, yeah. So I popped the thing out of it. He said, Jane, I said, I ain't got nothing chambered. You're good to go. So, I pulled it back and locked it for him. He says, man, it's so light. He said, it's got a little weight tip so you don't jump on you. He said, man, this is nice. I said, I got a deal on it. I told him how much to pay for it. He was like, what? He said, I paid $1,100 for the one I'm carrying.
Well, you don't mind having a conversation like that. Like, that's a good conversation.
Cops are weird now. A lot of cops, and a lot of cops is like when you watch the Mad Max movies in the old days. A lot of the cops for the last 20 years have been like ex-bikers, or they want to be bikers, but they don't want to go to jail, so they're cop bikers. Or they have these big tats, like my nephew, who's a detective. He wears several big tats. I mean, he looks like a thug. He looks like he just beat the crap out of you on the side of the street, but he's a cop. And more and more of them are taking that look. So, they're a little bit more relaxed around people now, but still, their job every day sucks.
Up in Ithaca, you got the testicle heads, man. There's a group of them that shave their heads completely bald, and they got this really horrible attitude. As a matter of fact, I was up there a couple of weeks ago. I was at a red light. This cop pulls up next to me, and he was just like beaming at me, man, staring. I'm like, what the fuck are you looking at? I didn't see the F word. What the fuck are you looking at? That was my attitude. Like. You don't reason to, look at me that way. Here I am, 54 years old. I got short hair and in my Jeep. I'm not looking like public enemy number one, but but I didn't like his attitude. I didn't like the way he made me feel. And I've been attacked by police officers in my life in protests, peaceful protests. Run into by a police motorcycle, kicked by a police horse, maced a few times, and hit with a billy club. So yeah, I get it. I get why people don't like them, but it's the individual. Sometimes you have a great cop, sometimes you got a terrible one.
Yeah, but
if you mouth off to them,
I don't know if Dell's. Oh, go ahead, Michael. Sorry, I thought you were.
No, go ahead.
No, all I was going to say was Dell, when he lived in Toronto, he was walking down the street. He just got off the bus and he was staying with his aunt. He went to walk there. This cop comes squealing up, hauls him over, throws him over the car, and he's going, what the F? Like, what? He goes, somebody matched your description, just threw a rock through Tim Hortons 3 blocks down. He goes, dude, I just got off the bus. He goes, look, I got the transfer here. Guy cuffed him, did a whole bunch of stuff, and finally let him go. So Dell went down to this Tim Hortons and talked to them. There was no rock thrown through the building. There was
There
nothing.
it is.
Yeah,
There it
they
is.
just decide, and they do that to people. They do.
They bold-faced lie.
Mhm.
Bold-faced lie,
Mhm.
and then they don't command a lot of respect from the public. I used to hang out in a neighborhood in Far Rockaway. It was predominantly black,
Mhm.
and a lot of people there were working people though. So we were hanging out on the sidewalk. My friend Willie's couple kids, 8, 9 years old, that were hanging out too. This cop goes by. There's two in a car, NYPD. The guy on the passenger side used the N-word as we're going by. He's going by like just to describe the people. And he said, and it's like these little kids heard him, and everybody else heard them, and I took down the number of the squad car and all that, but they don't care. Nobody gave a crap, But of course, there's no respect. But you
But
need
not
cops.
everybody's like that too. Like one of it's his middle brother. He'll be up from Toronto, and they all there's 3 boys in Dell's family. They all grew up together. And the guy that Sarah worked for our SWAT team, he's just apparently got off SWAT because he's got a new baby. But he is the nicest guy, and we know people that are. So not everybody's like that. That's
Right.
good to know. Mhm.
If you catch them on a bad day and you have an attitude, it could be bad. Some of them are nasty to begin with, and I think a lot of them, like the guy that put his knee on Floyd's neck, he was in that neighborhood for a long time, and they get accustomed to the horrible violence and the stuff that goes on. And it's not an excuse what the guy did, that's for sure. But and none of it should have happened. None of it should have happened. And same thing for what the hell was his name? Eric Garner in Staten Island. He was just selling loose cigarettes on the street. This guy was in mid-50s, not a criminal. Unless you want to say, okay, you're selling cigarettes for 25 cents, then you're automatically
That's a
felon.
deal. That's a deal up here. People
but-
up here loony.
But that cop jumped on him and put him in a chokehold. And that little short cop, he put all of his weight on his neck. And the guy said, "I can't breathe." And he had his hands up. He wasn't fighting. They had the whole video. He didn't do anything wrong. So, and he's dead. His family's without. They described him as a beloved figure. I remember those neighborhoods. There, you could buy cigarettes, yeah, man, because people didn't have enough to buy a pack. So they'd buy one cigarette. And back in the day, they were 25 cents. They're probably 50 cents by now, whatever they are, right? I mean, but it should never have happened. And that cop, they let him go. He went through a trial, but they found him not guilty. So that's why there's, in America, we have a lot of urban areas that just have the friction of problems, and those problems are endless. And mainly it's these hardcore Democrats who control those areas, and they don't do anything for the people there. Nothing. They blame Republicans. I don't get that.
You know what, though, Michael? You know what's scary about your cops anywhere in the U.S. versus Canada? Your cops can pull a gun. Our cops, they go through so much to have to pull a gun. That's why you very rarely hear police shooting
Well,
people.
these guys they're not really allowed to unholster their weapon unless they're in a life-threatening situation.
No, but they
do.
don't either. Like they
do.
have to use everything else. But if a cop feels threatened, they can pull a gun. That won't happen here. I mean, you will hear of a cop shooting once in a while, but with all the friends that we know, actually, believe it or not, I was going to be an RCMP officer. I went through all the testing. I went through the physical, went for the interview. It was on hold. They had a hiring freeze with the first Gulf War, and I was supposed to go back in 6 months, and then I'd met my first husband and decided not to. But we have friends in it and stuff, so we know enough people that if they have to pull their gun, the amount of paperwork and everything else involved. So that's usually why you don't hear about stuff like that.
Yeah, crazy. What happens here in the States is just, it's like a free-for-all in some places, And then the crime is out of hand. Look at New York. Look at, Chicago. Look at these places. It's out of control. Out of control. But I want to change the subject for a short minute. I have to say that I love the fact that the U.S. soccer team lost 3-0 to Sweden.
Yeah, me too.
These girls have such an attitude, and we're not representing the U.S. and we're taking the knee, and F everybody. That one with the purple hair,
I'm
right?
glad they lost.
The one with the purple hair. F you, F everybody, F America. Wow, really? And then their fans can't believe it, how bad they lost. I mean, 3-0 is ass kicking right there.
In soccer.
So I have to applaud it.
I do too. I think they deserve to lose. I hope they lose the whole damn time.
You're
When I see
You're not representing America. What gets me is if you're
Never
not representing America, what are you doing there?
I see the one on purple with purple hair representing a Subway. They eat fresh Subway,
They
and she
won't be
looks.
representing her anymore.
Yeah, she looks so disinterested to be in those commercials to begin with. I would never buy a product that someone like that endorses. I just have to say that, and that's not a cancel culture with me. It's just freedom of
And then
choice.
she's going to pull some kind of excuse about why she was dropped when really, like, maybe we should take a look at our behavior and how we were acting.
Well, they were demanding equal pay with the male soccer team because they said that of their superior abilities and performance. And then today, they go in there and they get their butts kicked by Sweden, which is really cool. I think that's just so cool.
I
So,
used to play
but
basketball, and I was the only girl that was allowed to play with the boys and stuff. Okay, but I will give you this from a female perspective. I don't care what sport you watch. It is more interesting, in my opinion, to watch men than women because men are capable of doing things physically that women are not. Basketball, woman doesn't have hang time, anything like that. Guys, there's a reason why. Plus, it's a lot faster paced, I find. Don't get me wrong. It can be enjoyable to watch women. It's just, I don't know. I find it more interesting to watch men.
But it's enjoyable for different reasons. So I'll just leave it at that.
I'm not into sports to begin with. I don't know about you guys.
I like
I
sports.
find them. I find them incredibly boring for the most part. Or
Just
frustrating. Not as much boring, but frustrating.
Well, first off, I don't even know why the games are going on. I noticed there's tons of people protesting in Japan right now. They're like,
Oh
"Come
yeah,
on,
because of COVID,
get out of here, get out of here, get out of here."
China, COVID. There's so many things happening.
And then some of these, like our team and some of the other teams I've seen, they just don't have their heart into it. They don't look like they want to be there.
Yeah.
They would rather be other places. I was funny. I was wondering. I was listening to the show today, and they were talking about the top 10 things that Americans watch in the Olympics. So, I was listening to a guy say it's got to be basketball, this, that, and other. It's
Porno.
gymnastics. No, it's gymnastics actually.
yes, that would be right.
Yeah, I think basketball made 6th or 7th.
I thought it was porno.
Tennis made 10th. None of those people watch porno. They don't even know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's against their religion to watch porno and be in the Olympics. You can actually be thrown out in case you don't know that. It's supposed to be a wholesome sport for wholesome kind of people.
Picks next.
But yet we got people over there. I know. The thing of it is the reason this girl keeps doing this is because she keeps getting pressed. If the press would just stop talking about it, she'd quit doing it because it wouldn't, because nobody really cares. You take a knee. The country's not paying no attention to you. You're not black. We don't give a shit what you're doing. Go on with your stupid self. Who are you taking a knee for? Were you abused because you had purple hair? I mean, give me a break. None of it in any way. Anytime you take a knee for any anthem, it's just disrespectful. I don't care who you are. As Kaepernick found out, he got blackballed over it. He never could get back in anywhere. He got lucky. He got a couple of Nike commercials. Now he's nowhere. He's nothing.
If I'll tell you something, man. If they're there representing the U.S., they shouldn't be. They should be representing the U.S. Period.
Yeah, Biden should have fired him right there when they said, "We're not here to rep you." Well, you're fired. Get the hell out of here. We don't want you.
Right. We withdraw. We forfeit. It's done.
Yeah. Sorry, we're just not going to compete this year in this sport.
Yeah, but that's what the Olympics is about. Part of it is fellowship.
It's what it is. You're there to represent your country. You're there.
Your country.
That's it. That's exactly what you're there. You're for to represent your damn country. And if you're not representing them, get the hell out. I see that. What is that? Mark Phelps guy? He's going to win more. That guy just swims like he's a fish.
How about this, dude?
Is he Michael Phelps in again?
I heard he was.
Oh my God!
Next year, we're going to have an all transvestite soccer team. How's that, man?
I doubt it.
And they're going to go in there and they're going to stomp on everybody.
Transgender or transvestite? There's a difference.
Transgender.
Yeah.
I want mine to have their packages left. Transgender. They're going to go in there and stomp on everyone and be Woman of the Year, just like that other one was.
I saw this, you guys. I have to tell you this quickly. And I have a son that's gay, LGBTQ. I know you got a nephew, Joe. None of us are against LGBTQ. But they showed this, that there was a woman charged with sexually assaulting an 11-year-old in the park. When you see the picture, and I'm sorry, no disrespect to them, but it looked like a man. There was a 5 o'clock shadow.
It was, or an X-Man.
And the point was, people were looking for a woman. There was a warning that went out. Well, so it was a man.
Now that you brought that up, I got an interesting question. So, women child abuse is up, especially amongst teachers, is up like 500%. It beat out men the last 4 years in a row.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell happened then all of a sudden? You never thought about a woman's. Okay, let me say something right up front, people. when I was young, the first woman, when I was 15, is when I lost my virginity. First woman I slept with was 19. So she'd be in jail now. And then the second woman I slept with was 18. And then later on, I started dating girls my own age. And then we owned this restaurant. And I used to work there a lot. And I slept with 2 or 3 of the waitresses. I'm not going to lie. They were all 20, 21,
You
22.
dog.
I was still 16. I mean, come on. They would all be in jail today. And you know what? I would feel bad because I had a good damn
Because it
time.
wasn't. It was like Adele and I have had this.
But I had a good time. I mean, I can't
It was
deny.
a rite of passage. If an older woman was interested in a younger man, like think about, like Dell said, what guy is going to go blabbing to anybody at 15 and
And think about it.
teacher?
So girls are supposed to be 2 more years advanced than boys at those age. So when they're sleeping with a guy, 20, it should, because it's weird. I watched this couple. She was 16, he was 17, and then when she made 17, he made 18. So where they lived, she was still a minor. So the mom got him for statutory rape. He got 5 years.
That's
And,
ridiculous.
and the daughter saying, no, it was consensual. And the judge said, I can't help it. It's consensual, not this is a law. He said, wait, my mom was letting him stay in the house and we were sleeping on a pallet in the living room. So the judge, what he did was he gave him 5 years and reduced the sentence to time served because he'd already been in jail for like 8 months.
That is absolutely.
But it's on his thing now as a child abuser. I mean, a sex offender.
He's got to register as sex offender.
He's got to register. This is it for life, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he's screwed.
Not for life. There's a way that they can go in and
they get
contest it later on down the road. I know a guy who went for 2 years, man. His girlfriend was 17. He had just turned 19. In fact, he had sex with her on his 19th birthday. The mother turned him in. He was a black dude with a white girl, upstate New York.
He's going for sure.
They put his ass for 2. They gave him 2 years, man. 2 years, and he had never done anything wrong. Unbelievable,
it's and I'm not condoning anybody sleeping with minors, but it just seems like it's weird that you've got these Z-Geners and these young millennials and these older Z-Geners and these from about 24 to 34-year-old women sleeping with these 14, 15, 16. I mean, one of them got pregnant, or 2 of them now have gotten pregnant, and one that get married to the guy. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? You're going to jail. So thanks to New York, this woman got 2 years for something. Another guy got 15 years. So he sued the justice system saying, wait, her crime was actually worse because he said, yeah, it was my niece or whatever. He said, but her crime was actually worse because he was a student. And so the judge thought about it and said he's absolutely right. So he let the guy out, by the way, and went to the court system and said this can't happen anymore. You've got to. So they couldn't retry the woman because she'd already been tried and found guilty and got her sentence. So there's nothing they could do about that part. But quite a few people over the country's gotten out because of that case.
Male and female in the U.S., the males do much more time for the same crime.
That's changing because now they can get out. They started suing for that. You can't do it.
Joseph Milnes has a good point. He goes, well, what about Romeo and Juliet? He's right. I guess it goes back through time, I guess.
Well, down here, until recent times, 16 wasn't considered a minor. Matter of fact, they expected 16-year-old women to be getting married, 16, 17, 18,
I
19.
had a 21-year-old boyfriend when I was 16, because when I was 16, I looked like I was about 25.
Yeah, and there's a lot of fast girls like that, but but unfortunately, that's the laws now, and it's weird down here. But 17 and under, well, actually 17 and over, you're considered an adult. At 17, you can go to you can sleep with somebody older. You can go to prison. You can get move out of your house if you want to, but your parents got to sign off. But basically,
some states it's 19. In Wisconsin, it's 19.
But you can fight that because the federal age is 18, so you can always fight stuff like that. Because again, state law doesn't supersede federal law. But that's why. Oh, did y'all hear? They put a warrant out for all of the Texas liberals. They got a warrant out for every one of them.
Good.
As soon as they're going to arrest them when they come back in the state.
Who?
The liberal part of the Texas Congress left and went to D.C. because they didn't want to pass this voting law, which is illegal. What they did was they broke the law. And Texas has an amendment that says if you're not serving the people, what your duty is, we can arrest you. So they're going to arrest them. They said, we're going to arrest them and put them in jail. He said they can fight it, but he said they broke the law. And so they put the Texas Rangers out looking for any of them that might still be in the state.
Now, can that be a citizen's arrest, man? Can I go to D.C. right now?
Yeah, I think you could. I think you could be a citizen's arrest.
Slapping the cuffs on? or duct
Because
tape. Or
see,
whatever.
when you got a warrant on you, that's evading, and a felon, that's evading. So if you're in another state when a warrant's issued, somebody like a bounty hunter can come get you.
Not only that,
And
they cross state lines, and that's a whole nother felony.
yeah, so
It,
well, they were
there's
already out of the states when they passed it. So I don't know how that's going to work, but still, the governor went. He said he's got the Texas Ranger looking at any of them that are in the state. He's going to arrest them.
If
and
it
put
was
them in jail.
illegal for them to do that and they crossed state lines and they knew they were committing a crime, then that's where the law is,
Yeah, and the best part is a lot of them. So we didn't even know that. I'll tell you what a judge told me one time. He said, "Ignorance is no excuse to break the law." Or he actually said, "Ignorance of the law is no excuse to break the law."
True.
So they won't care whatever they say. There was a lot of fast girls when I was young. Ooh, them girls are fast, man. Especially them Catholic girls. God, I'm thinking y'all ain't scared y'all can burn in hell, man.
Judges love to say, they love to say,
Yeah.
judges love to say that, man. Ignorance is no excuse. They love to say that.
Yeah,
Okay, well,
they
now
do.
somebody wrote in here, Herb Anthony, fast girls. Are you saying Laura Lee was a fast girl? They're saying.
Yes, well, she said she was a fast girl. She was dating someone 21. She said, of course she was.
Yes, I have done my fair share of living as a young
I mean,
yes.
and I'm not hating on fast girls. I've known a lot over the years.
Mhm.
But the thing of it is, unfortunately, the laws have changed down here.
Mhm.
And that's the way it is. You just can't do it. And it's hard when a guy's 18 and a girl's 16, and they're sleeping together. The judge finds out, he's going to jail. Even though the judge himself doesn't feel like it's a fair thing to do, but he's still got to abide by the law, so he's got to put him in jail. And a lot of times they'll give him the minimal sentence, but still, man, you're putting some guy in jail, and all they're going to find out in his jail is that he's some kind of sex offender. He's going to get the crap beat out of him regularly, unless he's some big old monster guy, and even then he probably still get the crap beat out of him. It's just a dangerous thing, and now, and that's the other thing. They were trying to slide these teachers out, like giving counseling and stuff like that. And all the guys in prison said, "Really? Well, why? We're getting counseling." So that's the problem. You can't have it. The justice is blind. You can't have a double standard. So anytime a judge or someone tries to be nice to a woman, because she slept with a student, which he should automatically be given her 15 years. They make a hole for someone else to get out of jail. Maybe
it's more than the age thing. It's a betrayal of a trust.
Yeah.
She's an educator,
So they should be getting more time than just a regular everyday sex
really
offender.
deviant
I
behavior.
had some creepy teachers, let me tell you, that
So did I.
that pushed the fine line. I have even had a doctor do that to me as a patient. It would be
Never
sex.
had no doctors, but I had one teacher when I was in private school. She took me to that. Anyway, we won't get into that. But I was.
You're not going to tell us that now. Leave us
I was.
hanging.
I was 16.
She touched your what?
Okay, we'll talk about it. Anyway, I was 16, and she was tutoring me, and she was about 5 foot, blonde hair down to her ankles. Beautiful girl from Missouri.
Cousin Ed?
Yeah, cousin Ed.
Yeah, I know.
Exactly what
She used to
I was
always
thinking.
correct me because I always said Missouri, and the proper way to
Did
say
she
it
talk
is
like
Missouri.
this?
But anyway, no, she was hot, dude. I mean, this woman was hot.
I
Some
believe she was.
sunglasses on.
And I don't know. I was reading, and I said it again. I said something about Missouri, and she looked at me. She said, "No, the proper way to say it is Missouri." I said, "Okay, Miss Missouri, what's next?" And she slid her hand up the thigh. I'm like, "Whoa!" I didn't know what. Of course, I wasn't going to tell anybody. I told my dad what she thought was. But it was great. It was a great experience. But I learned all kind of stuff, not just about what I was supposed to be learning about.
Well, like I said, Del and I have talked about this, and like he said, any guy I know, you had a hot teacher, or like what you're talking about. If that happened, there's no way on earth you were. I mean, you might tell your buddies, but you're not.
I told my dad. I was scared to tell my friends because they might run their mouth at school. But I told my dad.
That's
he
what
laughed
he said. You had to be careful if you were going to tell somebody. But no, it's a rite of passage. He said, that was something to be proud of.
The next 3 months, she was just nervous as all hell. And I caught her in the hallway one day. I said, "Baby, you don't have to worry. I'm never going to say anything about what happened with us." I had a great time. I said, "You taught me all kind of interesting stuff." So she just blushed, and that was the end of that. And she was my teacher for 2 years, and we had a great time. She's a good teacher. I learned a lot. It was private school. Maybe I didn't know that was included.
I guess maybe for you it was, Joe.
Well, I've had tutors before they do that, but I've never had a teacher do it. She was just tutoring me. Yeah, I had 2 different tutors. I actually asked my dad one time, I said, did you like pay her to do it? He started laughing. He said, no. He said, but I see like father, like son. I was like, because my dad was a big time player. Even when he was old, he was.
Yeah.
It was, but you just
Your
learn
dad
things
was
and you move
okay
on.
with it, but nowadays, like it's.
But yeah, nowadays they'd be in jail.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I did have a freak from KFC one time though. I applied for a job. I was 15.
Freak.
So, well, no, this was weird. So he said, oh, I like you. Come by the apartment tomorrow. We'll talk about what's going on. I said, apartment? I didn't think nothing about it. Like, there's 5 or 6
So
people
what
there.
is it with you and
So,
men? They
well,
love you.
gay guys always love me. I don't know what the
I
hell that is.
know.
And so we get in an apartment. He said, he starts telling me all this stuff about gay, and he had to do this, and this to be part of the gang. That's like, you stupid too.
Sorry,
I said,
Brian.
I'll see you later. So I actually went home and said, you know what, Mom? This guy told me this. They fired the whole damn crew. The guy was trying to sue us, and he said, I said, well, Dad, I'll take a polygraph. No problem at all. Once I said that, my mom and dad were both on his ass. And that was the end of it. I know that they probably, I don't know. It's weird. You know, I was hitchhiking one time.
That's wrong. Like,
that was. But I was hitchhiking one time, back in the day when you could hitchhike and I had to get mugged or killed. A guy in a 240Z picked me up, and every time he shifted, another finger would touch my leg. And I told him, I said, I'm gonna tell you this one time. I said, the next finger that touches my leg, I'm gonna break it.
You can't hitchhike wearing thongs anymore, man. That's just kind of the way it goes.
Well, you'd never see me in a thong. My ass is lily white, so you don't want to see that thing. Even I don't want to see that thing.
That guy in that
I'm telling you, at night it'd be like a
it.
beacon, man. It's a little moonlight. We could use it as a beacon.
I never.
Well, back in the day, people when guys would come on the guys, a lot of times they got really hurt because people would react harshly towards it. So
yeah. And I like in Fat City on the quarter, a couple of guys, and actually this one guy, he stopped. He said, "You want to smoke a joint?" Just in the middle of the street, which happens a lot in New Orleans, actually. Mm-hmm. And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And he said, "I'm gay. I'd like to do this, and this stuff I can't mention on." I said, "Dude, I tell you what, I'm very flattered." I said, "But I'm as straight as they come." I said, "Don't take it the wrong way." I said, "You're a good-looking guy," and all. I said,
"You have a movie star. You broke my."
I said, "Not a shot in hell." And he said, "Well, it was nice talking to you." And he went on about his merry way. Yeah. And that was the end of the conversation.
What if George Clooney came up to you, man, and hit on you, man?
There's nothing wrong with that.
George, I don't even like George Clooney. I'd just bitch slap him like he's a little girl.
Come on, Brad's almost a girl.
How about Keanu Reeves?
Keanu, I can't say. Keanu's got a crush on me. What can I say? We can't mention that on air.
He broke my heart telling me about Keanu Reeves.
Because he was just high as a kite. That's all. But ladies and gentlemen, y'all not supposed to be hearing these things. But anyway.
Oh, come on, Joe.
You know what? No, because I'm gonna be out there. I'm gonna be out there in October. It's not giving nobody any ideas, man. I don't want to come into my hotel or nothing.
Keanu Reeves to tell him, and if they do, and you have his phone number, you can slip it to me because I'd love to have a conversation.
It's funny because this came up in a conversation with a friend of mine. Well, this came up in a conversation with a friend of mine. He said, "I bet you got his private email." I said, "I don't have his phone number." He said, "I bet you got his private email." He said, "Joe," he said, "I know you always give everybody a card, whoever the hell they are." Because I do. I'm bad about it. So I said, "Yeah, I probably got his private email." So I gave it to him. He started spamming the shit out the guy. And I'm like, "Stop it. Leave him alone." I said, "He's going to know I gave it to you." And he's like, "No, he's not. He don't know who I am." I'm like, "Well, stop spamming him." That's what, are you trying to get invited out to LA or something? He was insane, man. But he was loaded and drunk. What can I say? Shit happens sometimes.
Or your inhibitions get lowered.
Yeah, well, that's true too. Because I come on. I'd make a scary looking girl. Let's be honest.
So, Joe, who's your beat all guy if you were going to choose one, man?
I can't really think of it right now. Oh man, that would be a whole different thing. But right now, nobody currently. Maybe back in the day, maybe one of the Divine people like Sean or somebody. But today, all these guys. How can I say this politely? Like wussies. I'm not going to use the P word because we got a lady president. But
you can say
most of the guys today are just big. I'm sorry. The kind you could park a truck inside, because really that's what they are these days. Mm-hmm. And I just, I thought something like a couple of them were coming up. They might have turned into something else, but no, most guys today, not everyday guys, but most stars and all are just wussies. They just are.
Well, Della and I have an arrangement. If we ever had a hall pass, if he gets a time machine, runs into Britney Spears like she looked in Toxic, or Selma Hayek in, oh God, what movie is it? I forget what one it is. Dogma, maybe, where she's barely got anything on and she's doing that dance. He says if he runs into them with a time machine, what they look like back then, he gets a hall pass. But if he would love it, I am as straight as they come too. I have no interest in females. So I said, I wish it did, dude, but I don't.
Well, I remember my first menage a trois before I met my wife, and
Mhm.
let me tell you, this was I shouldn't even bring this up on the air. So I met Linda. We weren't married. We were just dating. And she comes over to the house one day. And these three girls show up. And
Mhm.
she's like, and who are these three? I said, just some friends. I said,
Yeah.
nothing serious or nothing. And another friend of ours, Gigi, she was a bikini model, was living in the house. So Gigi tells her, I'm just like a little kitty cat. I roam from room to room. Linda grabbed her by her damn mouse hair and said, you can roam your ass right out in the alleyway. And out the door she went, along with the rest of them. I was like, ooh. She was very protective. She still is, actually. But she's like, but she told me, I told her, so if you ever met somebody you really liked, I wouldn't mind, if it was
Mhm.
like somebody famous or something like that. But it was kind of crazy.
You got to have
Yeah.
those conversations when you're a couple, because you know what? Or you're out, and if Del says to me, that's a
Well,
beautiful woman. If she's
because down here you're gonna meet stars. I mean,
or
you
vice
know,
versa, that's a really hot
she's
guy.
they out in the quarter one night. Rod Stewart's out there to go meet them. She met Fleetwood at the radio station. She brought we owned we managed a rose company where we used to deliver roses all over. She
Mhm.
picks out like 3 dozen most beautiful roses we had because they all came from South America. Shows up at the radio station to bring them to Stevie Nicks. Stevie wasn't there, but Fleetwood and what's his name were there. So she gave them to him to give to her, and they gave us tickets to Running Man so we could go see it with them because they were going to be at the theater. So they
Mhm.
put us right there behind them, and all I remember is Stevie getting heads in my way. I can't see the movie, which let's be honest, it wasn't that great of a movie. We didn't really miss anything, but it was nice sitting there, and we got to talk to him after the movie and stuff. So that was kind of nice. It was interesting. But you see a lot of stars down here, but New Orleans is a weird place. They don't. You can be
That's what you
anybody.
said, Joe. They
Yeah, you
don't
can
get
be
all
anybody. You just if you're in
paparazzi.
a club. So the rule is
I can see you with Angelina Jolie, Lorelei, if that was your lesbian
ooh,
choice.
And
Angelina
you know what?
Jolie.
I'll be very
Before
honest.
she had the
If
fake
I
boobs.
had an inkling towards that, I would say, like, believe me, Del would love it. And I just have no interest. If I ever had a menage a trois, it would be two guys.
No,
No
I mean if you were
stuff
like a
going
Well,
on.
lesbian.
that would be the good thing for you. It's just like
Del
it would
wouldn't
be
be
for a
in there.
girl.
You have to be a lesbian. I'm talking about if you were looking for that same sex. That's why I asked Joe. Whatever, you know what I mean. I guess Joe, I can see you with Sylvester Stallone, though, man.
Oh, he was
No, we
Sylvester.
won't.
Yeah, he's like what 5 foot, dude. He coming like to hear on me and
He's
shit.
Come on, man.
75 years old
You know,
You could get a Sherpa and go up to
one of
Mount
the biggest
Stallone.
disappointments I ever had. We were at the Hard Rock Cafe eating lunch, and they got all the guys' handprints up there. And my hands ain't that huge. My hands were bigger than most of the Hollywood. Most of these guys are little bitty things, man.
Really?
You can't tell on TV.
I
Yeah.
have huge hands for a woman. I have really
Well, I
big
mean,
hands.
so they had Arnold's hands up there. So I go up there, walk up there, out of the back, and my hands bigger than his. I'm like, really? This guy's like the Hulk. And they got quite a few other stars. I'm walking around, Linda's laughing her ass. I'm like, what? So I'm reading this article one day about how most men Hollywood stars are like 5'6", 5'7".
Yeah, they
I
are.
didn't realize that, but it's better
Yeah,
for the
that
camera.
tiny little.
Well, because if you're any bigger than that, you look like you big ass on camera. So I didn't know anything
You know
about
who's
that guy.
short, man? I was just watching this video. Ingve Malmsteen. I met him met up
Mhm.
with him a couple
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
In the clubs, and he was so
And he's
tiny.
short.
Same as Dio, Ryan James Dio. They look
Yeah, you
tall
can
in their
tell Ronnie James
videos.
Dio is short, though.
Yeah, they look so tall, but then when you meet them, these guys are little. Man.
Yeah, it's kind of disappointing. I mean, what can you do? It is a little bit
You
disappointing.
smack them around. You
Oh,
taller.
while I'm on
Hey,
this,
get over
guys,
here.
the end of this month, we
Get
got
over here,
2
Dio.
meteor showers wrapping up. So y'all get out there and check out the meteor showers. 2 of them are wrapping up this month. But
Wow.
better yet, let
If I
me
was gonna pick
share
a
this.
dude, I would do Terry Crews. You know who that is, man?
No, I don't know who the hell that is.
That's
You gotta
that black
enlighten
dude
me.
who was in
Oh, that's what I thought you were talking about.
in
Okay.
Idiocracy. He plays the president, like the wrestler.
I'll have to see who this guy is.
Or Ving Rhames, man. I like him. I like my
Mikey's
coffee
got the
all
hots
in
for him. I'm
black.
gonna have to see who he is, man.
Ving Rhames played a gay firefighter, and I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry. I remember
Did
that.
he?
He was hilarious. Yeah.
Wow, I gotta see that. That's funny.
You haven't seen that movie? Oh, you gotta see it. It's
No.
funny.
No, I
Another
like
funny
it.
one, Slam and Salmon. It never was very popular, but it's got Clark Duncan in it and Vivica Fox, and it is hilarious.
Ving Rhames is my favorite zombie guy at this point, man. He's done a lot of zombie movies, but they're always done really well. He's a great actor,
Mhm.
so they're always done really well. But
Where's this one? Here we
So
go.
there's 2 meteor showers. What else is coming, Joe?
Oh wait! I'm putting this guy up right
Uh-oh.
now.
not a
Look
Trump-
at that. Look. So I love this. Yeah. Not a Trump rally, Biden says. No
I
one
love
paying
that
attention
picture
to
of him.
him. Yeah. they had they were hecklers all over. I mean, they were heckling this guy left and right. Trump would never even put up with that shit. He's being heckled. So CNN, he's been doing a couple of town halls. So CNN and NBC's been trying to save him. And what I mean is, so when you watch him, they only show the first 3 rows and they don't show nothing left or right. So one of his ex-aides were there and put her video out. There's nobody. Remember when Hillary was trying to do that when she was running?
Yeah.
There's no way this guy actually could have won this election. I mean, with the turnout he has, it's just miserable. I mean, now everybody's mostly vaccinated. I mean, I think Vermont was the highest with 75%. All the little states got pretty high percentages, but I noticed California and New York, they're only in the 52, 54 range. Florida's in the 50 range.
It runs a division between the country, just like left and right. So
yeah, it's kind of. But look at it. Look at it. What is he? What's he doing here? So
yelling.
It's
looks like he's trying to swallow that microphone.
That's what I was thinking, or more.
Something going on.
Yes.
So it says President Joe Biden brushed off hecklers on Friday while speaking at a campaign event in Virginia for Terry. No, actually you didn't, because you got mad like you always do. So yesterday he's out talking about the economy, right? So he must have flashed back to an economy from like 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so he's talking. So they're giving him all kind of shit about that.
He has like mental flashbacks. Like he'll say things and he thinks he's in the past. I mean, he's got like problems,
Mm-hmm.
Dude's got, I don't know, I'm not going to diagnose people, but I'm saying, if your grandpa had those problems, you'd be bringing him in.
Here's this guy.
He's safe to live on his own.
Right.
The man hospitalized with COVID-19 told CBS he'd still rather not have the shot. I don't know. You're not going to be able to get past people like that. You'll never be able to get 100% in this country. Maybe if you really push, maybe give some money away, some tax benefits, you might get to 70%.
They are giving money away, Joe. They're giving away $90.
Oh, and Kevin Hart. Kevin, I hope you listen tonight, you big wuss.
Yeah.
He's a big wuss.
Speaking of
so first he is a little short guy to start off. He's a little munchy.
The comedian?
Yeah, but to start, so he's got a chance. He was offered a trip to space. Free trip. Most people got to pay a couple of $1 million. So he's offered a trip to space. He said, well, I didn't like the odds. It's like 50-50. It might blow up. I said, how are you getting these odds on? Man flights, it's probably more like 90-10 that's going to blow up. I'm like, he's a wuss. Hard. I didn't know you'd wuss out, man. I should have known from some of your movies, but you're a wuss. Man, I'd go to space in a heartbeat. I'm like, what the hell? I mean, I've been to high Earth orbit already, and unfortunately, too, I got to thinking about that. What you said, Boo?
Haven't you seen him on a roller coaster? He is a big wuss.
He is a big wuss, yeah. I know. I've seen
him apologize for his comedy, so yeah, I'll vote wuss.
Well, somebody put a plastic snake in a cart one time that he's pushing. He went running out of the store like a big wuss. He's a big wuss. So, I mean, I'd go to space. I'd love it. I mean, I remember when we were flying back and we got permission, they were going up to check a satellite. So they had us, I mean, the plane was way up there because we were way on oxygen mask. So we were at least 70,000, 80,000 feet. Mm-hmm. And you could see it. It was like being in space. And right as you get to the edge, you kind of start lifting because you start losing weight. But when you feel that, the pilot actually noses the plane down and starts heading back down, because if not, we'll be in space and we'll be dead because there's no way to get down with an airplane. So it was crazy. It was one of those. Really, I was like, man. After that, all I wanted to do was be an astronaut. I was like, Jesus, people. But I was too insane.
Well, Richard Branson filmed him being up there, going, I think, right on the edge of the atmosphere recently. That was
So they're not actually in spaceship, but the other couple are actually going into space and flying around. But it was man, because when you get up there, it looks, the sky, I should say space, looks totally different than the way you see it down here. It just, I guess, because there's no atmosphere. Also, the stars lose their sparkle. I mean, they're much bigger and much brighter, but they kind of lose their sparkle, I guess, because the atmosphere gives them that twinkle. But it's cool. I would recommend anybody who could go if you can afford it now. I said for the next decade, it's going to start out at $1 million, and it'll be 800,000, and then it'll be like $5,000 after a while to go to space. And to be honest with you, right now you're only getting a 90-minute trip, So is it worth any big money for that? I'm sure they'll sell tickets, but I don't think they're going to sell enough to keep it going. So they'll have to come down for the common man to be able to fly.
I'm actually going into business, man, and NASA is sponsoring me the Galactic Garbage Truck. So big giant ship. I'm gonna go up there and collect all the satellite trash and all that.
Are you gonna do that, Michael?
trash
Yeah,
hauling
and then
back
Michael's going to get cut in half by
to
one of them
America.
Japanese satellite killers. Whoa, you see that? We get you off like some kind of kung fu shit, man.
No, I'm gonna have some
That's a
stuff
good
on
idea
there, man.
that he had, but
I'll get
they
some.
better keep putting garbage up there, Michael. Eventually, you clean it all
I'm
out.
gonna
Oh,
bring Slim Whitman with me and have speakers outside that sucker, man. I'll blast that. Oh, it'll blast them all the way.
yeah. They said pretty soon we got so much garbage up there, it's going to turn into a ring. We're going to have our own ring. It's going to be a man-made ring. I'm like, oh, really?
What a fitting tribute to human beings, a ring
Yeah.
of garbage.
Yeah, they got to get that shit cleaned up. They've been talking about ways to clean it
You
up.
can't even
Somebody
clean the
eventually
ocean,
do it.
let alone space.
No, they've been doing good on the ocean. You've been watching them guys.
No, you
Yeah, man, they've
The
been pulling
mass
out.
alone they are pulling out of there is
Yeah,
disgusting.
they've been pulling out 2 miles of plastic a day. They're actually doing a good
ships
job.
and Navy ships dump their trash every day. So
Yeah.
other countries too, man. You know how
I
it
don't
goes.
understand why they do that. Like,
Actually, the
Lord.
Navy ships can't do it anymore. They got flagged for it.
I don't know.
And
They're
the
still
British
doing
ship,
it.
no, the U.S. Navy and the British don't do it
Standard.
anymore.
They take garbage barges and they ship them out into the ocean. They dump them and they bring them back.
Why
man.
would
Yeah.
you do that? Like, good Lord.
Well, that's illegal. The UN made all that illegal. So if they get caught, they get serious fines.
You know the UN can't do anything. They have
No,
nothing
but
to do
yeah,
with
but the
all
countries can that signed off on it. So the UNs can find the country, and the country will find the people doing it. So that's how they
especially
do it.
when everybody has veto power.
Yeah, but these are already passed. You can't veto these; they're already in place. And China and Russia signed off on these too, because Russia said if they catch any of their people doing it, they're going to find them themselves, and they actually have. Because in the end, you're only hurting us.
Yes.
You know? So now we have found out some interesting things because of this. They found a microbe that eats plastic. I guess Mother Nature created to clean up the junk. So
Beautiful.
they're thinking they can hyperbreed these and use them to clean up more plastic.
You know what, though? Let's hope they don't do that and end up in a situation like the cane toads in Australia or the carp up here or whatever, right? Because when we mess with Mother Nature, look what happens.
She figures she can figure it out herself, but we do need to get all the plastic out of there. And the guy who did the one with the big skimmer thing he's got, he wanted to do it because he's recycling his plastic. He's actually already paid for the equipment and making money off of it. So it's becoming a venture. So other companies are seeing him doing this, and they're like, well, wait a minute now. If we can clean up, a couple of tons of plastic every year, we can make some serious money. And because they need to recycle it anyway, because a bunch of countries now have banned new plastic. So you're going to have to recycle it. So
we can't have plastic bags up here, and we don't know what they're going to do because, Del and I were talking about this. Like anything that's sealed has a plastic that you pull off. We can't have and I think they're banning plastic, everything like that, like disposable plastic.
Yeah, what they did here is, and you'll notice it when you get groceries in a plastic bag. They've made the new bags and all biodegradable after I forget how much.
They charge us for plastic bags up here. If you don't bring your own bags, you're charged for it and you don't get the money back.
Yeah, I'd be like, you better give me a damn bag, people.
They charge me for paper bags like 5 cents a piece.
Yeah, that's what it is for plastic up here. So if you and most of them are made of crap. The minute you walk out, your groceries rip and go all over. So everybody brings their own bags now. And then
I have the reusable bags, but you know what? I always forget them. And then when I'm in there, it's like, all right, give me the paper bags, and they suck because they rip.
No, what they'll make us do, like if you can take the card out, you can take your things out without a bag as long as you have your receipt. So what everybody does is brings their own bags, or what happens is, like say you forgot, most people don't even have paper, but like I said, most of them are crappy anyways. The minute you lift them, your groceries, everything rips and falls all over. But with COVID, they wouldn't bag your things for you. You could bring your own bag in and you would have to bag everything yourself.
Yep.
So,
it's going to be that way again. Worse. And they'll cash in on it, won't they?
Well, everybody's going to cash in on it. It's, I
we
was watching.
Lockdown again. I'm almost positive now.
Biden's congratulating the GOP for saying
they've learned how to function right during a pandemic. Supermarkets open, people can work from home. There's a whole bunch of stuff that they have been, discovered.
What I want to ask you guys is, what do you guys think of the fact that Bill Gates is buying up most of the farmland, and then I've been seeing a bunch of stuff out of India too. A lot of people buying up the farmland
because he wants to use those one-time seeds.
Yeah, but what if he controls the food?
Well,
Like
here he can't. There's only X amount of farms you buy in the United States. One, you're not allowed to have
check
a
it out. He
monopoly.
bought a lot.
Yeah, but you're not allowed to have a monopoly in the country, so he'll just get broke up, just like
Ted,
you know.
Ted
He
Turner
does
is
have
actually the
monopoly.
largest private landowner. He can walk from Canada to Mexico on his own land. How is that?
I wouldn't doubt that, Michael,
Isn't that
because
amazing?
he is buying a lot, Joe. You should check it out. He is like he's buying tons of land.
Now this scares me. I just seeing this strange behavior of the Earth's core reveals a mystery inside. So one side of this iron core is cooling faster than the other. That's not a good thing. That'll send us wobbling off into deep space and
Well, look
land
at the
crashing
wobble
out.
of the moon, man. It's saying it's going to cause a lot of floods, you know?
Yeah, in 2030, yo. I still don't understand how something happened 2 days ago and it's going to affect us 10 years from now. It don't make any sense at all. It should affect us now if it's wobbling now. So
There's floods everywhere. Not
yeah,
Maybe
but
not
not
out
not
west.
not out of normal though. I mean, it's weird, but it's not out
In
of
the
normal.
last 20 days here, it rained 18 of them.
We
18.
can't get rain to save our life. We just finally had a drizzle. The
Yeah.
forest fires were so bad up here with the heat wave that the sky, the whole place was just gray with smoke, and you could smell smoke. We're on a fire ban.
We had 14 inches of rain within a couple of weeks, man. It was nuts. And they come as downpours. So here comes the storm. It'll last a couple hours and dump an inch or two of rain.
Okay, so
Just like that.
speaking of strange weather, you know who had it looked like a sky out of Oklahoma in Tornado Alley, okay? Barrie, Ontario, which is just outside of Toronto, had massive tornadoes go through there. And if you see the pictures from there, like we don't get tornadoes in Canada. Like we might
No,
get a
not
little,
really.
really high winds very quickly, but not like that. Like where did that come from?
Weather's wonky.
Getting some
Look
crazy
at
weather.
Lake Mead. Lake Mead is so low. Hot out west.
I don't know.
They saw the hottest June on record in the Southwest. So.
Yeah, we were pretty hot. Oh, I kicked that by accident. So what else is Uncle Cracker doing there?
Oh, Crocker's doing all kind of shit.
I was just going to add, sorry, it said you're not allowed to own more than the U.S. government, Joseph Mine says. And then he said Oklahoma becoming a swamp again. So are they having flooding there?
Yeah.
Well, we've had 4 months of rain almost every day, which is unusual for us. Don't get me wrong. We get 70 inches of rain a year, so it's not like it's uncommon. But it's been weird the way the cycles went. It started basically raining in March, and it hasn't quit.
Wow.
You'll get a break. And, it's weird because down here starting, end of June, beginning of July, we get rains every day. But, they're afternoon rains from the heating, and the convection. So it heats
up. It's kind of like Florida then when I've been down there. Like, you're going to get a shower at least late afternoon almost.
Yeah, you always get one. And it's nice. It's nice for a few minutes.
It is nice, yeah. Then it gets
but then it gets all humid as hell when it clicks off.
It's worse after.
Yeah, it's just so you're kind of damned if you do, kind of damned if you don't.
Yeah.
So poor Biden seems to be flustered by Trump. He can't stop talking about it, and neither can the Democrats. Trump's not even doing anything right now, and nobody can stop talking about it. Even the media keeps talking about it. The media needs to understand this is how he got elected the first time. If you keep talking about him, he's going to get reelected because really, let's be honest, nobody's really happy with Joe Biden.
Nobody is. Even people that were pro-Democrat or still Democrat aren't happy with him that I've run into.
And then a lot of people don't want to admit it, but Joe Biden broke the law on many occasions and he needs to go to jail. And it looks like his daddy might have been part of that. So they always talk about how Trump's lying, Trump's failing, Trump's this. So they slapped a lawsuit against the Southern District Attorney in New York because he hasn't even looked into Joe Biden stuff. He's like, what's going on here? You're looking all over Trump, but you're not even touching him.
Hunter Biden?
Yeah, Hunter Biden. Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Bo's the one that died. Yeah, Bo's
I don't know. Bo Biden could have done something before he passed away too. That's why I asked you.
Yeah, Bo seemed to be a decent guy when you heard him talk, but Hunter is just a sleazeball. He's a cocaine addict, porn watching, child abusing sleazeball, and
married his late brother's wife.
Started and not even it wasn't even that long after they started dating. I mean, both of them were sick. You just when you see stuff like that, you kind of be what the hell. So, now here's an interesting one. So, Admiral came out and said, "Yeah, Russia, we like your new missile. Your plane sucks, but your new missile's okay." He said, "Supersonic 7." He said, "How many you got?" "Oh, that's right, you only had that one." He said, "Well, when you get about 30 of them, we might start getting interested." He said, "But he's got to tell you." He said, "I got to tell you something." He said, "The new USS Gerald Ford His rail guns were just deployed, and guess what they can do? They can shoot down Mach 7 missiles. So he said, "Oops, too late yet again. Too little, too late." Boy, Putin just got to be pissed, man. And then more so the Brits assigned two brand new ships to the South China Sea and told China to go F themselves. Then they deployed one to sit right off the edge of the Ukraine and told Russia to go F themselves. And I noticed neither one of these countries have said anything because, unfortunately for them, Britain's a protectorate. You attack Britain, you attack the United States and Europe.
Yeah.
Even though they're not a member of the EU anymore, they still have deals with a lot of mutual protection pacts. So, I mean, are you ready to go to war with half the world? China, do you think you can win the war? No, because we all have far more nukes than you. We have more nukes than Russia these days. And more, let me put it another way. We have more nukes on missiles, more warheads on missiles that will actually work than Russia has missiles. So I'm thinking, we're not so much worried about you anymore. If you want to start a fight, we'll go there. And I know China wants to conquer the world like America did through economics. They know a real war is not going to benefit them. They're going to lose. Because what's going to happen is the first thing that happens, we're going to cut off all their supply lines.
Yeah.
So that people are going to instantly start starving. We learned this from Japan. That's how Japan conquered them. They starved them. The people that didn't want to fight anymore. And half of China don't want to fight anyway. And there's a bunch of Chinese now that are more like Americans. They don't want to fight either. So you got a country that's 1.3 billion. You might get 300 million of them to fight, but we're going to probably nuke them right off the bat. So, that's like the movie Red Dawn. Oh yeah, that's right. Well, yesterday there was 1.3 billion, but guess what? Today there's only 600 million of them. Because we're not going to play fair, and really there's no reason for us to. And we don't even have to use high yield nukes anymore. We can use neutron bombs, which don't make any blast. They just deploy radiation.
Yeah, it's not going to come to that.
I don't know. It might.
It's going to come down to trade.
If Hong Kong invades Taiwan, Japan and Philippines already said they're going to come to their aid. We have protectors for both
China. So
I mean, not Hong Kong, Taiwan. If they invade Taiwan, even though we've got to deal with Taiwan, we won't go do anything. But Japan and the Philippines already said they would come to their aid, and we have protectorates with both those countries.
We give Taiwan weapons. We sell them weapons.
No, we'll have to go defend them. If Japan and Philippines get into it, but it doesn't matter. I mean, because Japan and Philippines are going to go first. So once they do, we're going to go, and then Britain's going to go, and then China's going to be facing enemies in like 7 fronts.
They were talking about making Taiwan part of NATO.
And then Russia has a protection pact with China, so they'll be duty bound to come in. But see, what worries me for Russia, and I don't know if Putin's just stupid, but if Russia decides to get into this war and deploy its fleet and its people, then it leaves them very vulnerable to China, which is right up against them. China could easily come in and invade Russia, and before Russia could get its people back, they would have lost. Just like
and you know what? They hate each other, man.
They do.
They do.
So I just don't know how this is all going to.
And don't forget about India, because India right now is fueling up to attack China. Their weapons, the whole bit. I mean, they want to go after them. They're done over the whole Kashmir thing, and I don't know, Kashmir with not India with Pakistan, and on the other side you've got China, the border conflicts, and they've had a lot of murders, a lot of killings and a lot of war going on. So India has kind of two-pronged, man, but they're ready to go, and they've got the same population base China has.
Yeah, then they are ready to go. That's the other problem. So
I'll tell you though, the people in India have more of a fighting spirit, in my view, than the people in China. The people in China are very oppressed, and I don't think that they would stick up for their communist government. So if there was a war or something happened, also a lot of the soldiers in China have not been paid in a long time. A lot of the retired soldiers, the veterans, haven't been paid at all. So you have like millions of people who are disgruntled. So that's that too. It's a very interesting situation.
There's a lot going on.
Xi Jinping's getting older. His ways are going to the wayside. The younger group, it doesn't think like that. You like what you said. They want economic power. That's not the way to with all the lies and the BS they're playing. To have economic power, you have to be a world player. You have to be honest in your intention. But let us be sure, all these countries, including us, mean nothing. It's the World Trade Organization that runs everything. If the International Monetary Fund and the World Trade Organization, come on, man, the number one, number two agencies that run the world. The IMF they gave Jamaica a $9 billion loan. Jamaica defaulted, of course. And then after they did, the IMF's like, okay, you're going to follow our rules. Now Jamaican farmers can't even sell. If you grow watermelons, you can't sell it on the side of the road. The army goes around smashing people's melons because you've got to produce $25,000 a year worth of produce to be part of the WTO and ship stuff out of Jamaica.
Wow.
That's insane, man. And this is what the world. You don't even hear this in the media, do you?
No, you don't.
You don't even hear these little things.
Nope.
Well, if you look at the right media, you might hear them. But right now, if you listen to, like I said earlier, ABC, NBC, CBS are all protecting Biden and the Dems. They won't say anything bad about him. And all they'll talk about is Trump this, Trump that, Trump this. Trump's not even in the thing. And I laugh because somebody said, oh, well, they're going to arrest Trump in a week because they're going to go after him because he did the same thing that his people did. First off, people say, you know this, no one's going to jail for not paying taxes on perks. It's not going to happen. It's just not. A good lawyer can get off of that without any problem at all. They're going to make the New York DA look like a twat, which they've already kind of done. So that's never going to happen. Just like Trump was going to go to jail, and all his allies were going to jail. And remember, 6 of the people that got put in jail, while Trump's people, 4 of them got out and got their charges reversed. So it's just bullshit, and it's a waste of. But unfortunately for y'all, New Yorkers, it's a waste of your money.
They're living in the past. It's a grudge match. They're abusing their authority to go after people they don't like.
And that's exactly what they're doing. But see, the problem is the country's watching them. And it's just not playing out well for the Dems right now. They can't get anything going. They can't get anything done.
What are people watching right now? I don't know, man. I think that they're confused by everything. They thought, I don't know what they thought Biden was going to be. I mean, if they thought he was going to be anything more than what he is, that's funny to me.
Biden's exactly what Biden is going to be. I mean,
but things have quieted down in the government, because Trump was a polarizing figure. So it was like in your face all the time in the news, whether you wanted to hear his name or not, he was everywhere. Now it's quiet, but yet there's all this stuff going on.
Because Biden's an idiot and the news media can't make him not look like an idiot. That's why the little redhead's always talking and Biden's not. And
she's an idiot too, though.
I know, but at least she's got her faculties together. He goes out to give him his shot. I mean, we got it on good authority now that he gets 3 shots a day to keep him centered. And then he flashes back like he's in Senate. The other day he was talking about Obama being the president.
What kind of shots is he getting that you're talking about?
I don't know. I wish I knew.
Yeah, I wish I knew because I can't think of much that would.
It sounds like the stuff they used to give me when I had my knee, and it'd make you kind of happy afterwards. You'd get rid of all the pain, and it would perk you up.
Yeah, but it would have to be something that wouldn't scramble him cognitively, that he'd be able to think clearly, speak clearly. Mind you, you know what? They could have something out there like that just because it's not released to the public or we're aware of it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Could be some kind of stimulant, something that's going to lift them up cerebral wise.
Yeah, I'm sure they're planning on it. I'm sure they're hoping he has a heart attack and Kamala can take over, but she's an idiot too.
Oh dear
Secret
Lord.
Meetings and phone trees.
She'll be cackling all the way.
She'll have nobody else.
Texas Dems plan
to make the country run properly if she's at the top.
I still like her. I think she's sexy, man. I have to say. I'm sorry.
Michael, this is how you end up with women you call demons. This is how you end up with them.
But she's so sexy.
Michael, you know what? You got to look at it this way. If you want to be with someone into old age, we're all going to look the same at the end. Yes, you want somebody you're attracted to that looks halfway decent, but listen, you're an intelligent man. You need to have these kind of conversations, right?
I like her cackling laugh, man. There's just something about it that I find endearing.
You get everything you deserve. Sorry.
Just like it. I don't know.
Poor Michael. He's destined to a life of these women.
Well, I like Amelia. She's pretty cool, but she's married.
Yeah.
But she's cool. And she's very down.
But she's also very married.
I like her structure of her thinking.
But she's very married too.
Very, very married.
Yes. You have to manifest Michael a woman that looks. I guess you're gonna have to put all the features together, and we'll manifest that for you, Michael.
Love from afar. It works out easier that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. No diseases, nothing like that. I don't spend any money. Just love from afar.
Oh, that
Well,
sounds
you
like
see these guys with their robot chicks. That's just so bizarre. I don't even know. Like, they bring them to restaurants and prop them up. I mean, it's a crazy world.
Oh,
And
you mean like the guy? Have you ever seen this documentaries quickly with those men that are in love with their sex dolls, basically, but they look like real women?
that's
There's a
crazy.
documentary out there, and it is just mind blowing. It's
I
like,
can see
oh
being
dear
in love
Lord.
with a car. You know what I mean? You get a lot out of a car. Plus, it takes you somewhere. But a sex doll, no.
I've seen a guy in love with his car too. My Strange Addictions years ago. He's in love with his car. Hmm.
Every guy loves his car.
That's okay.
Every dude.
Oh,
If he
no,
doesn't, he owns a Prius, and he's not like
it's
he
not a
doesn't
real man.
doesn't figure in.
He's like Joe said, like the celebrities of today. A lot of them own Priuses too.
They-
Yeah,
They're,
they're just big ones.
they're transitioning.
No, you're not coming up. You stay down, you little
They're in
monkey.
the middle of there somewhere.
Yeah. Did we lose you, Joe? I guess we almost have to get off here pretty soon.
Or the
So.
dudes
you'll
with
be
the
out in a couple
giant
minutes.
pickup trucks, right, with the big tires. You know, they have little winkies. Those
That's
guys.
my oldest son's theory. If you got that kind of vehicle and
That's
you're revving
funny.
your engine everywhere. Yep. That's what he says too.
That is funny.
Yep.
Yeah.
Joe looks like he's falling asleep on us.
No, I was reading about the idiot Democrats in Texas and what they're going to do about them.
Somebody said they tested positive for COVID though.
Oh yeah, actually they have been. So it was 2, then 4, then 6, then 8. Now you notice NBC don't want to talk about it, but unfortunately it's out there and they can't get away from it.
Because
Let's
I
see,
thought they
Biden tests
were back,
political
but I
muscle with
heard they were going
campaigns.
to be arrested the minute they set foot in Texas too. So where
They
are
probably will be. Well, the Texas Ranger are looking for them right now.
they?
How many times can I say Texas sucks, though? I mean, not to offend people there, but it really truly does. And I was born there. Keep in mind, under protest, because I didn't have a
You
right.
were born
I,
under protest.
I didn't have a voice at that point.
Here's our lovely government at its finest. U.S. declines probe virus deaths in New York nursing homes. So now they're just going to go after Comey. They're going to sue him left and right.
They were questioning him last weekend about his sexual nonsense and advances. I don't even know what he did. He would kiss a girl's hand, kiss another girl's face. I want to play strip poker. He's that kind of guy. Does that mean he's public enemy number one? He himself? I don't like him, but you know what? Like they go too far with this sexual harassment stuff.
Oh, I see Joe Biden's wanting to change the filibuster rules. I heard what does the other lady say, that it can't be done with just 51 votes. You'll have to have more than 51 to change the rules of Congress. So I don't know, the quorum lady, whatever she is, she was talking about the other day. She said, I don't think it would be legal. And besides that, they proved the point. The Democrats under Biden, under Trump, and under Obama used it 891 times.
I'm telling you,
6
something's
years.
happening, man. They've gotten very quiet. The whole thing's gotten very quiet. It's strange. It doesn't feel right. And Nancy Pelosi, people like that, are very quiet. And when they get quiet, that's when the secret stuff goes on.
Well, either that or they're worried that something else is coming out.
Or they know something else is coming.
Well, sometimes they get real quiet because they know their ass is in trouble for something they shouldn't have done. Right now, it's all backfiring on them. Oh, we got to go door to door and give viruses. That backfired on them hard.
It's all on them now. They have to perform. They can't blame somebody else. They can't blame Trump. And now also keep in mind, when Trump was in there, they raised record money for donations. Now he's gone. Nobody's giving them anything. So they're also drowning in debt. The DNC. Good.
Yeah, now they're talking about they're going to have to
like
sue
any
Nancy.
politician. People can't call me out. They're like, trying to call me out on politics, man. I'm like either side, because not either side is not on our side. That's really what the deal is.
None of them on our side.
What'd you say about Pelosi, Joe?
She threw off. She said she was not going to give the GOP these two picks they want to put on the committee. So she's having a fit, and McCartney's having a fit. So what's going to happen is they're just going to sue her and say, look, you're discriminating against the GOP, which it is. So, they forget that can go on. So I don't know what it is. Lawrence, Joe Biden said he wants to change the Senate filibuster rules. So why do many people think he said the opposite? Because Joe Biden don't want to change the filibuster rules because Joe Biden knows what's going to happen. The GOP is going to take it back, the House and the Senate back, in 2022. So that means with no filibuster and a majority, they can't stop them at all. There's nothing they can do. They're basically, this is what they did last time when they changed it from 60 to 51. The Democrats passed a bill on Obama saying they didn't need 60 anymore, they would do 51. So they changed it.
Yep.
Well, the Republicans used it for 6 years and beat the crap out of them with it. So if they do it again with this, they're just going to get the crap beat out of them with it.
Back and forth, back.
There won't even be a back and forth. There'll just be GOP. Biden will become lame duck because he won't be able to do anything.
Well, at present, the Democratic Party is fighting with each other.
Yeah, it is. It's a big fight amongst itself.
It's got 4 different factions, and they're all fighting each other.
And the Democrats know when they poll their own people, they're against changing the filibuster rule. It's a dumb thing to do. It saved them 891 times. So, I mean, why would you do something, but nobody wants to talk that. And NBC and CBS don't even want to say that, because that might, they want to see this.
There's no reason
they want to see a communist country.
It's a CNN, a Fox, or any of that crapola. I mean, it's when if I'm flipping through the channels, because I don't really watch TV. I flip through channels. There's nothing on there for me,
like most men.
But it's just you tune into CNN and there's like, ugh, my God.
Well, I seen somebody send me some Huffington Post articles. Huffington's like the biggest hunk of garbage that ever lived.
There's
And
not a lot to watch.
they were saying something about Fox or Sean Hannity, the owner of Fox, came out and said, "Why don't you crawl back in the little corner you came out of? When you get to be big and hot like us, you can come back and talk to us." He said, "I wouldn't even use your paper to wipe my ass with." So he just slapped them down in their face like they were nothing. Nobody else wanted to take him on because Fox is the largest network in the country right now. NBC always wants to say they are, and I noticed if you go to an independent poll that's run by liberals, they always say that, but in fact, they're not. All you got to do is go to
Fox
the
is
Reuters
the
and
only
see.
conservative outlet.
Well, no, One American News is, and Al Jahari is now.
I'm staying on your channel lineup. I mean, you're not going to find a conservative.
Yeah, I get One American News, and I get there's 4 of them on my channel. It's either Newsmax, one or the other one. They're conservative too.
Yeah, but you get a perspective from all avenues rather than just one-sided like the news networks you admitted. So,
but I got BBC America that I listen to. I actually got a Russian Pravda that I have translated. I listen to, but which cracks me up sometimes. They're fucking hilarious. And so those two. But then I have it's an EU news network, so it translates all. It gives me 26 countries in English. And it's great because you see a lot of weird stuff over there. Like during COVID, it was kind of crazy too. But you see a lot of it. You kind of get to feel how they live in their countries versus ours. But that they're there and they talk about America all the time, and they don't they don't pull any punches. They say what's good about it, and what's bad about it. They're not pulling any punches like NBC does. It's just a shame. And I'm with the Democrats in the fact that we need media reform. But we don't need to be putting them around. So what they want is, you can't say anything about a politician unless you can prove it. Well, if that's the case, you can't say anything about anybody because the old news, you couldn't do that. Until cable came along, you couldn't say it. And the media still can. If you're like evening news or local media, you still can't say things that you can't prove. But that's regular television that's regulated by the FCC. But the internet or internet news is not, or cable news is not regulated by the FCC. They can say what the hell they want.
The problem is, people have lost their trust for the media.
Yeah, they should. The media sucks.
They drew a line in the sand when they took sides, and they got not just taking sides, but went crazy with it. Now you can't trust. Hey, man, New York Times, I don't trust the word they say. The Washington Post, I don't trust the word they say. So I mean, there's some CNN or even Fox. I don't trust them. I don't trust them.
You shouldn't trust them because you're not getting real news.
You have to question everything nowadays. You really do. You do.
Well, what you get is opinion news, and that's just how it is. I know we got to get out of here, guys and girls, so y'all going to get to hear the commercial one more time as we're leaving.
They got to go to the source, the United Public Radio Network, man.
That's
we
right.
are the source for
right.
truth and justice. God dang it.
What are we, the Justice League now?
That's right.
I have actually, Joseph, like I was telling you, I have Pravda, the Russian news media, but you can pick up, there's a Hong Kong version that you can pick up. These two medias are just propaganda media. That's what they are. Occasionally, you'll hear when they talk about the United States, oh, yeah, they want to kill us. Oh, they hate us. Americans still hate us. We tried to be friends and they still hate us. They want to kill us.
We do. That's right.
And we don't. We don't even give a shit. And I say this all the time. A good friend of mine who lives in Hong Kong, he says, why does America hate the Chinese? I said, we don't. I said, let me explain.
We would eat them if we could, man.
I said, for the most part, we don't even pay attention to y'all or your existence.
Come on, a little sauerkraut. Oh, you say Chinese?
Yeah, Chinese.
I'll get some duck
Jing
sauce.
Chao Hao.
Anybody,
if you're listening in Chinese tonight, you know we're all over
crispy
China.
noodles, man.
Ni hao to you. Anyway, we're going to get out of here. But ni hao to all the Chinese people out there. Yeah, there's a lot of propaganda. If it's a communist country, my favorite one is, of course, Cuba. But you know what Florida's doing? Governor Santos is setting up a tower to broadcast free internet into Cuba so they can have internet there. He's like, they're only 75 miles away. He said, yeah, we're going to set up two things in Key West and broadcast out. From Key West to like 35 miles away. So they're going to broadcast free internet in for them to get onto.
They can block that crap so
Cuba can't do that.
Cuba
can't even get an army
with radio waves. Remember, they were trying to blast that station in there, and they blocked it with
but this the way they're going to do this
foil on the telephone poles.
Yeah, you have to go to every home and do it. And they're not going to be able to do that. So Cuba, the people of Cuba will get internet, and they'll get to see what we're saying.
You'd be surprised what kind of jammers people have.
Yeah, not Cuba so much. Cuba really got shit.
I was up on Hopi Reservation. They block all other cell phone signals for coming in, and you have to go through their service, and they charge you a crazy amount of money. Yeah, you know what I mean?
But there's a way around that too. I could just use a sat phone. They can't block that.
Oh yeah, satellite phone. Who the hell has a satellite phone?
I got one.
Of course you have one. I don't have one.
Because I go places
you have a satellite phone? I don't have a satellite phone.
But she should have one because she lives in, bumfuck nowhere too. But I keep one because sometimes I'm in places that I need one that my cell phone don't work. Matter of fact, I was out in the Gulf a couple weeks ago. You don't get no signal there. I was in one of the deep sort of forests. You can't get no signal there. So I pop on the set and I get internet and phone. It's great. It's way more expensive than
that's what I was
cell phone.
Huge money, like $1 a minute for that thing.
Oh no, it's not that expensive. I get it for I think it's like 5 cents a minute or something. But they give me 500 hours a month free anyway. So I get that. I'm not 500 hours, 50 hours a month free. So I mean, I don't use it enough. So yeah, and most of them you can get. I'd have to pull it out to tell you the name of it, but you can get them for about $99. And the only thing I don't like about them, they get big old whopping antennas on them. But it's great. I mean, it's great because you
I like a big antenna. It makes me feel like I'm important, man.
It reminds me of old days. It reminds me of old days of the walkie-talkies. Now they don't have any antennas now.
Call in an airstrike.
We used to get on them walkie-talkies. We'd screw with people, although we'd be trying to change the crystals or you change the frequency on them. What can you say? But anyway, guys, we got to get out of here. I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. Remember, go vote, go vote, go vote, which Amelia would just be telling you in just a few minutes. Now, did I say? Yeah, Emily, sorry. Amelia's a host. Emily is the one doing the promos. Her name is Emily Goodwin. She's John Goodwin's wife. They both work for Writers of the Future, and they do good work over there. So let me put y'all on the commercial break, and then coming up next is Quantum Leap with Kathy Belsky.
All right, everybody, it's time to vote, vote, vote. Get out there and nominate your favorite podcasts. The People's Choice Podcast Awards voting is up on the 31st of July. So go to podcastawards.com to nominate the following shows. Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast in the categories of education and also storyteller drama. The Centralist in the category of politics and news. That's with show host Joe Montaldo. Science and Beyond in the category of science and medicine. Also with show host Joe Montaldo. The Outer Realm in the category of society culture with show hosts Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. And the Pittsburgh Paranormal Chasing Prophecy in the category of religion and spirituality. There's another category that opened up for us recently, the People's Choice, so please select for this category as well. Go to podcastawards.com to vote for these 5 shows and any others you enjoy listening to. That's podcast